For some people, Jesus is just a cute part of the magical Christmas story, and then, like the decorations, just gets shoved in a box and forgotten about until next year. For others, there is an understanding that he's some kind of special present we should somehow receive and think about at Christmas. But the instruction book gets binned with the packaging, and after a day, the novelty wears off, and he's packed off to the charity shop on Boxing Day. But what if the present is more than just the baby? Let's face it, what can a baby actually do? Sleep, smile, but only if it's got wind, drink milk, cry, spew and poo. But this baby was promised hundreds of years before, when the prophet Isaiah said, "For a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us, and the government will rest on his shoulders, and his name will be Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace." His name means the Supreme God will save and rescue. This is great, but rescue us from what? God says in the Bible, all have missed the target, the standards and objectives for life, and have fallen short of the glory of God. We're also told that the due reward for not hitting the target is death. Maybe we need to start searching back through the wrapping paper to see what we missed. But we don't need to do that, do we? We don't need the manual. We know how it goes. Be nice, be good, follow the rules, perform naming rituals, love everyone, give to charity, and hope that that's enough to get into heaven, because God loves a trier, right? Well, let's see what this baby, so meek and mild, said when he grew up. In John's biography of Jesus, which is included in the Bible, on one occasion Jesus was speaking to a group of nice religious guys who meticulously tried to keep the rules of God, but mainly by following rules that people had added to help them avoid breaking the actual rules, and were boasting of their freedom due to the faith of a famous ancestor, and no doubt thinking about their delicate surgery they'd had to show their connection to it. And they were also claiming as a result that God was their father. Jesus responded to them, saying, "You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to do your father's wishes." Well, that didn't seem very nice, did it? Not a hint of leeway, no tolerance. With some things, it's all or nothing with this guy. And getting right with God is looking difficult. Jesus is looking rather rude. What's he on about? How can anyone get near to God if that's the case? Well, what does God want? One word: relationship. He said in around 1400 BC, "Love the Lord your God, listen to his voice, and hold fast to him, for the Lord is your life." Our waywardness, shortcomings, and missing the purpose of life gets in the way. It's a stain on our record. We all have it, and God, being the completely perfect king who is totally pure and a fair administrator of justice, could not continue to be himself if he just let a guilty person into his presence, just because they weren't completely bad. The penalty for the results of rejecting God must be paid. He only lets people in who are wearing a crown of righteousness, a crown of life, or a crown of glory as the Bible calls it, to show that they have no debt to pay. It's a bit like the crown of laurels presented to the winners at the ancient Olympic Games. And like that, you could obviously easily disqualify yourself from getting the crown of glory by saying that the Olympics aren't relevant, or that you'd rather go fishing instead. Or alternatively, you could practice really hard at getting over the hurdles, etc. But in a competition against a perfect God, you just can't win. For centuries in Christian art, this crown of glory or crown of righteousness has been depicted as a halo, which, to be fair, some people may think looks a little bit odd. And talking of odd, in recent years in Formula One, which I watch a lot of, the organisers wanted to introduce a new safety device. One driver, Romain Grosjean, was very vocal in his opposition to it and basically said, before it was introduced, that he felt confident in the current engineering of the cars and that adding this device would destroy the nature of the sport. Then this happened last month. The same driver crashed at 170 miles an hour with an impact 6 times greater than the forces exerted on fighter pilots and sliced through a barrier which sliced his car in two, leaving him sitting in a fireball. And yet he was able to walk away quickly with only minor burns. There was nothing he could do himself sitting there to stop his head making what should have been fatal contact with the barrier. But what needed to be done had already been done for him. What saved his life was the halo device that was fitted to his car. The halo that he didn't think he needed. Now he says it's the greatest thing in Formula One. Unsurprising, really. So how do we get life with God, this God-life relationship thing that's on offer? How do we get his halo? Jesus seems to offer hope when he says, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. He also says, I am the way, the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And whoever rejects the Son will not see life. The wrath of God remains on him. So Jesus is clearly identifying himself as God and the answer. But accepting that he is God still doesn't address our guilty sentence. Thankfully, Jesus, when he was in his early 30s, did something about that. He voluntarily paid the price for the waywardness of all those who now put their trust and confidence in him and are rejecting all other paths and pursue him. He paid to wipe my slate clean with his life. He died on a cross, a cruel, horrible death at the hands of the Romans, so that I can have a relationship with God. There's nothing I can do to earn it. All I can do is thankfully accept it, wear it, and enjoy living for him now and in the age to come. So, this Christmas, remember that the baby comes with Emmanuel, and the nativity is just a signpost to a much longer story. And like a signpost at a crossroads, it requires you to make a decision too. And only one way can give you that halo.